meet you. He is the head designer of Lamborghini.
Yes.
It's a crazy opportunity to have this. Yuri's not here, he's actually at jury duty right now, so otherwise he'd be joining me, but I have another person that's gonna fill in his shoes. So we're here to talk about the new Lamborghini Huracan Tecnica.
Yes.
First of all, I think it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's basically, I don't know if I could say this, but I think if no one's familiar with the Lamborghinis and the Huracans and the tiers of everything, I think this is kind of the 911 GT3 Touring version of the STO.
It's a good description, I would say. I mean, the Huracan Tecnica is having his own character. For me, it's important in terms of design that our customer can always spot very clearly the differences between our models. No, it's the Huracan range. There's an STO and there's an Huracan Tecnica.
Right.
And there used to be in the past an Huracan Performante. So all of these cars have their own scope, their own profile, their own design identity.
And so this one's just basically a scaled back STO. It still has the same horsepower and torque, which is 631 horsepower and 417 pound-feet of torque from a 5.2 liter naturally aspirated V10. So all that stuff carries over, and the suspension and all that stuff, that's basically all the same as the STO, minus the crazy appearance. Is that correct?
This is more or less correct, but there's also more detailed work that our engineers have done, for sure. For the design of the car, I mean, you were spotting already. I mean, we wanted to create a car that is fun to drive, because it is a rear-wheel steered car. It's a rear-wheel driven car, and I wanted to express with the design the fun to look at as well, or this fun to drive car.
Right.
So we have worked on let's say every millimeter to make it cool looking, but also to implement lightweight materials, carbon fiber. The front bonnet is in carbon fiber. I wanted to have the children that are, pushing their nose on supercars, that they can spot the engine. So you have surrounded this with the carbon fiber. And so we have this lightweight solution, but in the same moment also very cool. No?
Right, yeah, no, it looks amazing, and the carbon and everything and nice and exposed. I'm sure there's many different ways that you can configure these. So I want to talk about the front.
Yep.
I personally think that this is the biggest differentiator between any Huracan that you've done so far. And I think, I mean, you would know the best, but I think this has inspiration or lines and suggestions from the CN.
Yes.
It looks like to me, it looks like a baby CN.
Okay, good. I mean, this is a compliment, but
okay.
We are, let's say, in part of the important job that we do is that, I'm building up what is the design DNA of a Lamborghini as a from helicopter point of view, as the big definition of a Lamborghini. You know what are the two important ingredients?
The center line.
Exactly, yeah,
okay.
Perfect. First of all, it's the silhouette, yeah. So the Lamborghini, when you see a Lamborghini in side view, you will always tell this is a Lamborghini. But
yep.
then, and we can stay here in this front view, a Lamborghini is always having this very inclinated side windows. So when you see a Countach, when you see an Urus, when you see an Huracan, when you see an Aventador, all of our cars have this almost hexagonal feeling of the greenhouse.
Right.
And this is the most important line. It's like in an Italian pasta recipe that is done only with the eggs and the flour, and like this has to be a Lamborghini. Then I was always building up the story with the Terzo Millennio, with the Sian, the Y shape.
Yes.
So the Y shape we have implemented here in a way that this is also carrying the functionality of the air curtain. So we have this is open, so we are here preparing the airstream towards the side of the car in a better way. We have elongated the front splitter is longer for the downforce.
And so I read that this car is a little bit longer than the STO. Is that all in the front?
This is in the front and in the rear of the car. So when we take a look later at the side view, you see the car, what we call stance. The car is sitting much better on the wheels because of this elongation here. Then we took advantage on the fact that we have implemented a carbon fiber hood. So I could implement this black line here. So we have more spaceship look, as I call it. We have this elongated front window that is taking off this line. Later on, personalization is important for our customers. So you can have all the hood and carbon fiber visible, or just this black area here, or you can have a center graphic, a center line, or kind of a profile in body color.
Right, and totally different from the STO. This is kind of the regular opening hood. Once again, not the front clamshell.
And this is, for me, the important point. This car here, in Italy, I would say this is the perfect car. You take your partner, you put the luggage in the trunk, and you have a nice weekend on the seaside.
Right.
So you enjoy all the curvy roads, you go there and you enjoy this car.
Not just your helmet and
exactly.
your racing
STO,
gloves.
STO is with the fast lock, with the louvres, with the clamshell hood.
Yeah.
You can put your helmet inside. This is the difference.
Yeah, and I actually you mentioned the hexagons and stuff, and I'd love to chat about that because I've noticed them in, I mean, basically every Lamborghini from this to the Aventador to the Urus. Is it you at Lamborghini, or is it someone who has this obsession with hexagons, and like how has it gone so far that you have to implement it kind of everywhere? And I love the way that you do it because it makes sense, but nobody else really does that shape.
No, it's in the end of the day, it is part of the history of Lamborghini. Maybe in another show that you do, maybe you can focus on those iconic shapes of the past. Maybe for everybody that is listening, there was the Lamborghini Marzal. You can Google that car. It's a car that in first moment looks like the car from Back to the Future.
Okay.
But it was designed 15 years earlier. So
wow.
It was from 1967. And that Marzal was having a hexagonal door, all done in glass, and all the interior was using the hexagon.
Okay.
So the hexagon was a sort of a graphic element in the 60s and 70s, kind of representing the, flying to the moon, this kind of, the futurism. So it became a part of a graphic of Lamborghini. And when you have a lot of hexagons, the junction is the Y shape.
Okay.
So so it became an element, and then let's say more than 20 years ago, at the period of Walter de Silva, of Luc Donkerwolke, the designers before me, they implemented the Y shape, for example, in the taillights of the Aventador.
That's right.
We have here the Y shape on the Huracan. That is quite cool. So it's our philosophy that you see the big shape as outstanding from all the other super sports cars. And then it's I wouldn't call it obsession, but I'm focused that whatever piece I'm taking out of the car, it should tell you I'm a piece from a Lamborghini.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, all the ones, so in case anyone's not familiar, you've been responsible for the latest, I guess the 3
6
current
years,
ones.
yeah.
So the Urus, the Huracan, and the Aventador.
Yes.
And all of the submodels in between there.
Yes, we had first of all, it's a dream job.
Yeah, for sure.
To be a designer for sure, but then car designer, and then to end up in Lamborghini is really something cool. I'm now 6 years in Lamborghini. I come from Porsche before. I was a young kid growing up in East Germany, dreaming about design, and now I'm finding myself with my dream job. So in the last 6 years, we were full of creativity. Lamborghini is always, it's the epicenter of car design. So
sure.
we, as you said, we finished the Urus. Then the Terzo Millennio concept car is for sure a concept car that I have very much in my heart because it was the first one that we worked on. We did the Vision Gran Turismo, was a fantastic car also that is now arriving in the game, but where we have also this concept car.
And you mentioned spaceships, like those are everything you seem to design is spaceships. Like I love that personally. Like
what we are fortunate with one thing. Lamborghini is always perceived like a spaceship.
Yes.
You can put, in the 80s, you could have put the Countach out there. You had the posters in the bedroom walls. When you take a Lamborghini, you will always have a crowd of people sneaking around.
That is 100% true.
And you have always a young crowd for sure.
Yes.
And that keeps us young. That keeps us inspiring. That keeps, and this is because the cars are so outstanding in terms of perception. They look like a spaceship, and this is what I need to keep. Also
you need to give people something to dream about and aspire to, and I love that. We can talk about the back now, so cameraman, if you want to follow us to the back, because I just want to talk about those hexagonal elements back here, because I noticed that this is the first Huracan with hexagonal exhaust tips. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah,
okay.
That's correct.
Because they're always round, and I noticed you've been moving them up slowly from the first one. They were kind of out on the sides over here, and then they were duals, and then they kind of moved up with, I believe, the Performante.
Yes.
And then they've kind of stayed in this area now, but now for the first time they are hexagons.
I mean, you said you like the front. My favorite view is the rear, for example. It's very sexy looking, and we were kind of taking the rear tires as an important part, so we are embracing with the shape the rear tires. Then I'm a big fan of motorcycles, and especially on MotoGP or the sporty motorcycles, and on those bikes you can always see also the tire
Right.
And it's also part of the spaceship character of a Lamborghini. When you remember the Countach that was accelerating a lot, the rear of the car. So we're always exposing the tires. Then also here, Hexagon. So in the end of the day, the position, the higher position is a more lightweight position because there's a shorter length of the tube for coming out of the...
So even more power potentially.
And also more sound.
Yes, that's good.
So, so that's why we were using here the Hexagon, but also again in a different way if you compare to the Sian. The Sian is a little bit more free shape Hexagon. Those ones are very geometrical.
Right.
As we also use them in the wheels. I don't know if you noticed the wheels.
Yes, yeah.
They have also the 6 hexagons on the wheels.
Yeah.
Then what makes the rear also very sexy from my point of view is that we have these blades here. They're kind of taking, I call it the Omega shape, a bit of inspiration from the Super Trofeo cars. But then also because we have this black roof, that is an optional. We have the carbon fiber hood visible. And then in the rear view, you have almost also here kind of a, like an X-Fighter or like an X theme.
Right, yeah.
So it's
more spaceships.
Exactly. Also it's...
I love it. No, that's great.
Yeah.
Obviously the diffuser is quite large.
Yes.
This isn't carbon though, is it?
No, you can, but you can have
you
can get it in body color and in black or in matte black.
What do you prefer, body color or matte
I think black. I think
Yeah.
black because it is more clean.
Right.
It keeps the rear more, let's say,
Yeah.
a statement.
I do see, like, ever since you said the Countach, now I really do see it back here with this tire.
Yes.
That's really interesting. Like little subtle touches like that.
For me, I mean, for me, my little secret is, you know, a lot of people photograph a Lamborghini, and you have this shot here, this perspective.
Right.
And this needs to be always cool. Yeah?
So this is the perspective for the camera.
Yeah,
that
there's always this camera perspective on the front and on the rear, and this needs to look cool.
Yes, okay.
And it does on the Tecnica, obviously. So
yes, and I'm sure all these vents are extremely functional as well, because I mean these things generate a lot of heat.
Yes, I mean the engine is it's producing a lot of heat, of course, and that's why we need all these air outlets.
And this is all very different than other Huracans, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this is more of like a spider rear window kind of thing.
Yes, it is a matter of fact that I wanted to reduce this this weight here, also this visual weight. So we've put the surface down, and I wanted to implement this glass panel so the kids can spot the engine. And the side effect is that we have this vertical glass that is of course carry over from today, but as a driver, you have a much better overview towards the rear. When you drive on the track, for example, you have a better overview. Then there is also a little bit a sensor SCV12 in the Huracan Tecnica.
Right, with this rear louver quarter. Yeah,
yes,
okay,
exactly.
I see that.
So, for example, I mean the sexiness, having more shoulder here, we have changed this area, we have changed the fender, we have changed this air intake. We accelerated this line up here, so we have implemented this air intake here. The general shape is taking inspiration from the sensor. And then in the same moment, it's generating more sculpture, but then it's also reducing the drag. So I have a better flow of the airstream towards the fixed wing.
Right, because this one has more downforce, less drag, is that correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
So if I remember well, 38% more.
I think that sounds about, yeah, let's go with that.
38.1%.
Okay.
And no, as we definitely have more downforce.
Yeah.
And as I said, for the brake cooling, we have optimized all the system.
And is this vent is feeding the brakes over here?
Yeah, but also the engine is going towards the engine.
Splits.
Yeah.
Okay.
The brakes are taking from the underfloor.
Right. Okay.
There's a channel on the underfloor.
Now, is there anything inside that you want to point out that's been changed completely from the Huracan? Or sorry, the previous
I would say
versions?
optimized and also here sharpened in terms of scope of the car. In general, the Huracan, as we said in the beginning, it's still a car that is an everyday supercar, but then also for the clients that want to do a track day occasionally.
Right, okay.
So you can have a seat, please. Huh?
Yeah, I'd love to.
So the interior, in this case here, also on the Tecnica, we have a new color and trim, a new Alcantara motif, we have a new laser cutting. This is, by the way, our new sport seat that I like a lot because it's mechanical seat.
Okay, so this is the actual.
Yeah. For example, what I like, because we're using always Italian writings in the interior as well.
Yes.
There's written sgancio.
Yes.
And sgancio is Italian to remove the latch when you are, for example, parachuting.
Oh.
So to open something, that
Okay.
means sgancio.
That's cool.
So we are always using a lot of inspiration from the aeroplane world and so on.
Right.
So you can tilt and you can adjust the seat to the millimeter in a mechanical way. I like it a lot. We have the new performance door that is also saving some kilos. It's actually from the STO. So we have this the latch
door
opener.
pull.
This
Carbon
is
fiber.
carbon fiber. Here's Alcantara.
That's cool.
And it's a very simple, very cool carbon fiber door.
Now the door itself is the same, but just the skin on the inside has been changed.
No, the door itself is, you can keep the door from today,
Okay.
the more comfortable door, and
Yep.
then you can implement this one is from the STO.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And then also for the first time, if you like, not mounted here in this car, but you can have a roll cage as a stiffener for the interior stiffener, or but also like a nice sporty feature.
Right. Okay.
Painted in titanium.
That's cool. That's cool. You actually make that available because I don't think I've seen any other Lamborghinis with that.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So we are very focused on not only on design, but we are very proud and very focused on the performance of the cars.
Right.
So like this, in the last 20 years, we made an incredible step forward in terms of performance on Lamborghini.
So in terms of next steps, obviously you can't speak about too much, but is this the last iteration of the Huracan, or is there going to be another one, or what's going on here?
I mean, as always, the official answer is, we are always full of ideas, and stay tuned, yeah?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you talk to a designer, for sure, we have cool ideas, and I think there could be something in the pocket.
Okay. As a Huracan?
Stay tuned.
Okay, all right. We'll
we
stay
do
tuned.
the next video then in the future.
That sounds good. Well, thank you very much. This was great to take a look at this new thing. I'm looking forward to hopefully driving this one day, as well as the STO, so we'll see if we can get that done. And thank you. It was a pleasure. We don't really normally get this opportunity.
Yeah, Jacob, was a pleasure too.
Thank you.
We are in Toronto here, and it's really a cool place to present the Huracan Tecnica.
Yeah, well, thanks everyone for tuning in. Sorry I couldn't get to the live questions and stuff, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this.
Thank you.
I'll see you
Bye-bye.
guys at the next one. I'll exit here. Let's right there. See you guys.